Okay, so new relationships, right? I mean, we all know they can be super exciting, but also, like, kind of a minefield.
Yeah, totally. It's so easy to get swept up in all the, the new relationship energy and accidentally, like, overdo it.
Exactly. Like, going from 0 to 60 in like 2 seconds flat. Not a good look.
Yeah.
So today we're doing a deep dive into all the ways you can maybe pump the brakes a little.
Right. Pacing yourself is key.
Yeah.
Building a solid foundation.
Exactly. And we're not just making this up. We actually have this poll of 2,000 adults, and they spilled the tea on all the top ways people totally overdo it in new relationships.
Oh, this is going to be good.
I know, right? So buckle up, Buttercup, because we're about to get real. Like, imagine, planning a Valentine's Day extravaganza before you even know if your new boo likes,
Yeah.
like, chocolate or flowers.
Oh, my God. The pressure.
I know, right? Talk about a recipe for disaster.
So true. So let's jump right into it. The number one way people go overboard in new relationships, picking out baby names. Like, seriously.
I mean, come on. You barely know this person. You haven't even, like, survived your first awkward silence together. And you're already planning out your future offspring.
Right. It's like, whoa, hold your horses there, partner. I mean, it might seem like harmless fun, just kind of like daydreaming.
Yeah.
But it can actually be kind of a red flag because you're essentially like projecting this whole ideal future onto someone you barely know.
Yeah, like, I've decided who you are and what our life will be like.
Yeah.
Without even, like, asking them.
Exactly. And it kind of bypasses that whole like crucial getting to know you phase, where you actually figure out if you're even compatible.
Totally. And it puts so much pressure on the relationship.
Tons. Like
Yeah.
you're basically saying, hey, I'm already planning our wedding and picking out china patterns.
Yikes. Yeah, no pressure or anything.
Exactly.
Okay, so next up on the list of relationship no-nos, talking about moving in together.
Oh, this is a big one. I mean, I get it. You're spending all your time together. You basically live at each other's places anyway, so why not just make it official?
Yeah, why not?
But, and this is a big but, rushing into shared living space, it can be a sign of like codependency, which, isn't exactly the healthiest foundation for a lasting relationship.
So it's like you need your own space. You need your own time.
Exactly. Boundaries are crucial. I mean, think about it. You haven't even had a chance to fight over whose turn it is to do the dishes yet.
Oh, that's a good point. I mean, you got to learn to navigate those, like, everyday life things together before you commit to sharing a bathroom.
Right. Because trust me, sharing a bathroom can make or break a relationship.
So true.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've tackled baby names and moving in together. What's next on our list of relationship faux pas?
Dropping the L-bomb way too soon. Those three little words that can either make someone swoon or run for the hills.
Oh, yeah. I've definitely been on the receiving end of a premature I love you. And it's like, whoa, Nelly, let's pump the brakes a little here.
I mean, I get it. Those early stages of a relationship, the feelings can be so intense, like all-consuming. You're infatuated, you're obsessed.
Yeah.
But saying, I love you before you really know someone, it can feel more like a projection of your own desires than a true expression of, like, mutual love. And it can be super scary for the other person.
It's almost like you're trying to fast forward the relationship, like skipping over all those important steps in between. You haven't even had your first fight yet. You don't even know if they snore.
Exactly. Give it time, people. Let love develop at its own pace.
Okay, so maybe hold off on the declarations of eternal love for now. But what about, like, telling everyone you're officially a couple when you're still not even sure what their last name is?
Oh, yeah, defining the relationship too soon. That's a big no-no. I mean, it can feel super suffocating for the other person. Like, you're putting them in a box before they've even had a chance to, unpack their emotional baggage.
Totally. And it can be really confusing for everyone else involved, too. Like, wait, are they together? Are they not? What's going on?
Right. It's like you're trying to force a label on something that's still unfolding organically, and that never ends well.
So how do you know when it's the right time to, like, make things official? Is there, like, a magic formula?
I don't think there's a one-size-fits-all answer. The best advice I can give is to communicate openly and honestly with your partner. Make sure you're both on the same page. And, listen to your gut.
Your gut is always right. Okay, so next up on our list of things to avoid in new relationships, calling someone your soulmate after, like, 2 dates?
Oh, the soulmate thing. It can be so tricky.
It can be beautiful, but like you said, tricky.
Right. I mean, I believe in soulmates, but throwing that word around casually, it kind of diminishes its meaning.
It's like you haven't even scratched the surface of who this person is. You don't know their flaws, you don't know their quirks, and you're already putting them on this, like, pedestal of soulmate status.
Exactly. True soul connections, they take time to develop, they take shared experiences, they take, like, getting through some tough stuff together.
So, like, maybe wait until you've, like, survived a road trip together or something before you start throwing the S word around.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've talked about soulmates. Now let's talk about family. How soon is too soon to introduce your new significant other to the parents?
Oh, that's a tough one because it really depends on your family dynamics. Like, some families are super close-knit and involved, and others are, more hands-off.
Right, but in general.
I'd say, meeting the parents is a pretty big step. So make sure you and your partner are on the same page about it
Yeah.
and that they genuinely feel comfortable with the idea.
Don't, like, spring it on them at Thanksgiving dinner.
Right. Like, oh, hey, mom and dad, this is my soulmate I met 2 weeks ago.
Exactly.
So yeah, just, have a conversation about it first. Make sure everyone's ready.
Good advice. And speaking of introductions, what about the digital age equivalent of meeting the parents? Going Facebook official.
Oh, social media, the ultimate relationship minefield.
Right. It's like, when do you post that first couple pic?
Yeah.
Do you change your relationship status? What's the etiquette?
I honestly think the best approach is to, talk to your partner. Some people love sharing their relationship online. They're like all about those couple selfies and romantic captions.
Yeah, I know some people like that.
But others prefer to keep things more private. And that's totally fine, too.
Totally.
The important thing is that you're both comfortable with whatever you decide.
Absolutely. Communication is key. Okay, let's move on to communication in general. We all know that, like, constant texting can be a red flag. But what about the opposite? Like, freaking out if they don't text back right away.
Ah, yes. The classic anxious attachment style, where you're constantly checking your phone, refreshing your inbox, wondering why they haven't responded yet.
And, like, creating all these stories in your head about what they're doing and who they're with.
Exactly. And it all stems from, like, a lack of security within yourself. You're looking for external validation from your partner instead of, cultivating your own sense of self-worth.
So it's important to remember that, like, they have a life outside of you. They have work. They have friends. They have responsibilities.
Exactly. Everyone needs space to breathe. And trust me, if they're genuinely interested in you, they'll text back.
Okay, good to know. So moving on to something a little more concrete. Leaving a toothbrush at their place after, like, the second date.
Oh my God. Talk about a boundary violation.
It's like, whoa, slow your roll there, cowboy.
Right, like you're claiming ownership of their space before they've even offered you a drawer. It can feel super invasive and disrespectful.
Yeah, maybe stick to minty gum for now.
Definitely. And while we're on the topic of boundaries, let's talk about referring to their pet as ours.
Ooh, yeah, that's a big one.
It's another classic example of trying to force intimacy. Like you're already picturing yourselves as this like little happy family.
With a dog.
With a dog. Or a cat, or a hamster, whatever their pet of choice is. But the reality is, you're still getting to know each other, and that includes their furry friend.
So, like, let that bond develop naturally.
Exactly. Don't force it.
No need to stage a, like, family portrait with you, your partner, and their goldfish just yet.
Right. Okay, moving on to something that's super common in the age of social media. Flooding your feed with couple pics.
Oh, yeah, we've all seen it. The Instagram boyfriend or girlfriend phenomenon, where it's like every other post is a lovey-dovey photo of you and your new boo.
It's like you're trying to prove to the world how happy you are, which ironically can actually be a sign of insecurity.
It's almost like you're trying to convince yourself as much as everyone else.
Right. It's great to celebrate your relationship, but overdoing it on social media, it can make it seem like you're more focused on creating an image than actually enjoying the moment.
Agreed. And honestly, it can be kind of annoying for your followers. No one wants to see, like, a constant stream of PDA.
Exactly. Keep it classy, people. A few cute pics here and there, fine. But don't overdo it.
So true. Okay, let's talk about grand gestures. Because there's a fine line between being romantic and being, like, way over the top.
Totally. I mean, who doesn't love a good grand gesture? But the key is timing and intent.
Right, like planning an elaborate Valentine's Day extravaganza before you've even had your first disagreement. Probably not the best idea.
Exactly, because grand gestures, they shouldn't be used to, like, mask underlying issues or rush the natural progression of the relationship. If you're doing it for the gram, you're doing it wrong.
So true. Sometimes a simple, heartfelt gesture means so much more. Like cooking dinner for someone.
Yeah.
Or writing them a handwritten note. Or, just listening to them vent about their day.
Exactly. It's the thought that counts.
Okay, next up on our list of ways to not overdo it in a new relationship. showering someone with gifts.
This one's tricky because, who doesn't love getting gifts? But there's a difference between being thoughtful and being, like, excessive.
Right, like a few small, thoughtful gifts. Totally fine. But going overboard, it can feel kind of manipulative.
Exactly. Like you're trying to buy their affection instead of earning it through, genuine connection.
And it can also be like kind of a red flag about your own insecurities, like you're trying to compensate for something.
Right. So yeah, maybe chill out on the gift-giving front,
Hmm.
especially in the early stages.
Good advice. And finally, the ultimate over-the-top move. Planning a holiday together before you've even met each other's friends.
Whoa, hold up. That's a big jump.
Right. It's like you haven't even figured out if you can coexist in the same zip code yet. And you're already booking flights to, like, Bali.
Exactly. I mean, vacations can be amazing bonding experiences, but they can also be incredibly stressful.
Especially when you're still getting to know someone.
Exactly. So, make sure you can navigate everyday life together before you jet off to paradise. Otherwise, you might end up stranded on a desert island with someone you realize you can't stand.
And that's, like, the opposite of romantic. Okay, so if we had to sum up all this wisdom in one sentence.
Take a deep breath, enjoy the journey, and let the relationship unfold at its own pace.
I love it. And you know what? That's good advice for life in general. Don't rush things. Enjoy
Yes.
the process.
Breach.
Okay, so here's something for you all to ponder as you navigate the exciting world of new relationships. Are you entering this relationship with a clear head and an open heart? Or are you, letting your emotions run wild and getting swept up in the excitement of something new?
Because, honestly, that's when we tend to make the most mistakes.
So true. Thanks for diving in with us today. And remember, slow and steady wins the race.